31st, 2025, historic Keyworth Stadium. Garret Comat's here on the front of the camera. Adam Hernandez behind the camera. Detroit City FC Women moved to 2-1-1 over their 4 USLW League games by way of a 2-0 win over Midwest United today. Both goals in the second half via Hannah Crum. Be on the lookout. Shortly after this, you're going to see an interview with Coach David Dwaihy breaking this matchup down in further detail. But 3 in a row unbeaten for Detroit City FC. 3 wins in a row over Midwest United going back to last year. It is wild how things change when you look at this. Used to be the biggest hurdle. Now if we won 3 in a row against Midwest United, which is absolutely awesome. So we've talked about the joyous things. Now we got to talk about the pain point that happened earlier today, and that was the men's matchup. Match day 2 of the Jägermeister League Cup, which I've also seen sponsored by Tito's Vodka occasionally here. That's just a lot of booze. And unfortunately for our Channel 451 Tunnel Talk compatriot Alan Jacobson, who flew to watch this matchup in person, did not go the way of Detroit City FC, who will finish the month of May on the men's side winless in all competitions, losing to League One side Portland Hearts of Pine by a score of 4-2. 2 goals scored in the first half early by Portland. Some changes in the second half. Sebastian Gonzatti cut it down to 2-1 before it was Portland 3-1. Darren Smith made it 3-2. And then Hearts of Pine made it 4-2. A little bit of concern for Steven Carroll. Limped off due to an injury. Right now, the update that we've gotten so far is just it'll be a precaution just to see, monitoring, seeing how that move is. But we do have some positive note. Dwaihy is due to be resuming training in this coming week. If it's similar to when he was about ready to go last time, maybe 3 to 4 weeks more from then. So I'd say if everything goes smoothly, be on the lookout for early July, which is maybe the boost that is needed right now, especially when you look at, in my opinion, that this matchup earlier today at Maine was lost in the midfield. Adam, you're behind the cam. What's your takeaway on it? Anything that you want to add to it? No. Maybe that's the best way to be said on there. Shout out to Alan. Maybe next time don't lead a chant before Maine scores, but that's another thing. I'm sure that'll get broken down in the next episode of Tunnel Talk. The men's next matchup is at Pittsburgh, June 7th, 7 p.m. here. Here on June 7th, 7 p.m. will be match day 5 of USLW League. Already at the halfway point of that, it'll be Detroit City FC taking on Kalamazoo FC. So, for Garret Comat's here, to everyone else checking this out, thank you for checking us in. And until next time, we go onward. Everybody, from historic Keyworth Stadium, it is Saturday, May 31st, 2025. June is tomorrow. Wild. Also wild. Match day 4 of the USLW League season. We're 40% of the season already. And Dave Dwaihy, I feel like it was just yesterday when you and Danny Evans joined us for our preview episode of Make City Make Sense. And now we're 40% of the way done through here. A match which sees Detroit City FC take on Midwest United. Unbeaten streak now to 3, winning streak now to 2, 3 in a row now over Midwest United going back to last year. 2-0 win, both goals by Hannah Crum in the second half. How are you feeling of that performance, especially how the match was taken over essentially in the second half?
Yeah, I mean, we feel great about it. Really pleased with the performance and the result. And I think it was a tricky one. The first half, I thought defensively we were really strong, but offensively we were struggling to get going, and they had a really good scheme that, they kind of knew how we were going to play, and we didn't really shy away from it. So, they gave us problems for sure. And the halftime talk was a little bit, there was a little bit of uncertainty in the air, but I also felt like we had so much quality on the field that, sometimes in games like this, you just trust that your quality is going to come through. And from minute 1 of the second half, it became really clear that we were once again feeling it, kind of Wednesday night vibes. And I thought that just the first few sequences suggested we were going to create some chances. Hannah's first goal kind of came out of nowhere, but it just gave us so much confidence. And then the second goal, what a banger, and then we're flying. So really happy to see it through the way we did and keep a clean sheet. That's 3 in a row now. So defensively, we're obviously doing something right. There's a lot to build off there, but every game's so tricky, and in this conference, every team is tricky, and they can all beat you. And so we just try and take it one game at a time, and we were hyper focused on Midwest. So I'm glad we were able to achieve that goal of getting the result.
Anna Crum is also somebody that, if you look, has already been really clicking in and carrying over her form in from the indoor season. Sophia Romine, her second game back. Just from what you've seen so far in that short glimpse, how much of a spark do you think her starting the season out in these last two games has meant for the overall performance and the ability, the flow of the attack, and just basically like force a defending via attack.
Yeah. I think, the thing that's so easy to overlook with Sophia Romain is her defensive presence and quality. Is she's so active. I mean, she covers so much ground, and she really does. Whether we're pressing or just trying to pick up loose balls in midfield, she's such an impact player defensively, which is kind of crazy to focus on because she's so strong offensively. But talking about her in that way, I just feel like she is key to our defensive shape. And then Hannah, like you were saying, she came off a really solid indoor season, and she just has so much experience and savvy that in games like this, you kind of just you can't assume anything, but you feel real confident that she's going to find us a goal. And sure enough, we got one. We got two from her.
Center midfield so far, especially. Second half, it's wild to see out there. Faith Webster, Kayla Addison, Tatiana Mason coming on as subs. And I think that's when you look at like Kate Childers and her, especially how she played on Wednesday with the multiple goal performance in there. Just the depth of this squad, especially as you're starting to get into midweek matches more, and so in June heavy, because from 4 weeks from now we're going to be done with the regular season. Just how much deeper do you feel like this squad is maybe compared to where you were at last year at this point?
Yeah, I mean, and last year's group was so incredible. So I feel like in some ways we're comparing apples and oranges because it was a slightly different group and we had different players to slot in. But I think we really saw our depth tonight. I told the women afterward, like, for those of you that didn't get on or for those of you that only came on at the end, this is probably one of the strongest. Now it's 20 instead of 18. It's one of the strongest groups of 20 that we've fielded, and to be able to put players on like we did, and you saw the impact. I was telling the women, everything, it only got better, and I think the rhythm, the tempo of the game, it just stayed really solid. We made 3-player change at once, and nothing really. Sometimes you worry a little bit that many players will affect the rhythm, and I thought we were just unaffected in a good way. So yeah, we're thrilled to have that many strong players. It's a little bit of it's a good problem to have, but it's a challenge because we want to get all these players meaningful minutes. We want to keep them all engaged, and sometimes they'll have to make some sacrifices like the ones that came on or didn't get on to tonight. But my hope is, even though we're 40% of the way done, there's still plenty of games, and hopefully, over time, everybody, you spread the wealth and we get the best out of everyone. So many situations where, players are coming and going, and you just kind of got to run with that. But I think the core of the team is going to stay, and just really excited to keep benefiting from that depth.
And depth, especially now when you talk that not only we're 40% of the way done, but starting next Saturday, your remaining 6 games are going to be played over a span of 21 days. So, including 4 of them, 3 of them on the road. Against, obviously 4 of them, I think, actually. 4 of them on the road on there. So, Kalamazoo coming in here on Saturday, a team that has always seemed to play tight in here. 2-0 winner here the last time they came to Keyworth in June. What are you expecting from them in particular, whether it's approach, intent, that you might want to be on the lookout for, or is it just keep going with how you're going on this and see what you can get?
Yeah, well, to answer your first question, I think we expect they're just a tough team to play. They're physical, they're aggressive, they're well organized, they're very well coached, and like Midwest, I think they know us really well. Every time we play them, it's kind of like, oh man, they're anticipating that, and they know that we're going to try and do this, and so I think they're just a familiar enough opponent that they're always going to be very well set up for us. And to answer your second question, even still, I think we're best off just being ourselves and trying to stick with what works for us, and try and lean into the fact that we've got quality in every position and depth, and hopefully over time, just like you hope, like with odds, that if they're in your favor, that in practice it comes to fruition that way, that you get the result against the team that you feel like you should. But we certainly don't take that for granted against them. They've given us plenty of problems in recent games, so it'll be a tough one.
Last one for now, so that way you can get inside away from this surprisingly windy May. Yeah, it's Keyworth and wind. It's a strange concept. But the last one here, is there any messages you want to leave for either anyone that was in here tonight or anyone that checked out either on the CBS News stream or Sports Engine Play?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for their continued support. We obviously had a little bit of a slow start results-wise, but I feel like this team is just, there's something about this team that people identify with, and I can tell that our supporters really appreciate them and their work rate and their honesty as players, and you know, we're grateful to have so much support. It makes it so much easier as coaches to recruit players and retain players when they're able to play in front of crowds like we played in front of tonight. So thank you as always. Hope you're enjoying it. I thought tonight, second half in particular, the product on the field was excellent, and you know, we're all lucky to be able to watch this group of women go at it every week, and I'm also really grateful for the USLW League, because every team we're playing against is fantastic and, you know, forces the best out of us. So we're really fortunate.
I'm going to end this with something you told me a couple of weeks ago, post-match in Ann Arbor, when you mentioned that everything was going to be all right. I think we're much more than all right now, and may the good times continue. Coach, thank you.
Thanks, Matt.